All right. So, welcome if you're joining us to the Canadian Chess League, week number 4. We have an interesting position. Just show you how you got here. E4, C5, knight of 3, A6, C3, knight of 6, E5 takes, and he takes with the queen. So, knight C7 is a move here. I think E6 he'll go like bishop G5. I have bishop E7 there, but the D6 square could be a bit weak. My tempos are a bit off here. Maybe knight c b6 and bishop to e3 is probably a huge problem here. So have to be quite um, rigorous here. E6, bishop g5, maybe just queen c7 and followed up by knight c6. So e6, c4, knight c6. Okay, well I gotta play e6 here. I think knight c7, don't really want to play. If I can get d6 in, I'm gonna chip away to center, but it does feel a bit suspicious at the moment. Bishop g5, I can play bishop e7, but then d6 becomes really a big problem there, so probably queen c7. Bishop c4, I have knight c6 winning a tempo. Knight c6 seems like the most natural move, and maybe knight b6 to follow. Okay. Yeah, queen d2, and Um, he's blocking his knight and his bishop, so he does have some potential issue there. Knight b6 seems like a normal move. I want to play d5, but I also want to play d6 and chip away at this center. I think queen d2 is quite interesting, but probably inaccurate. Maybe queen to e4 made sense, headed to g4. Yeah, the bishop moves. And do I play d5 or d6? Probably d6. I could play f5 as well, and then d5. f5 looks quite interesting, but I don't think it's necessary here. And I could also go queen c7, putting pressure on the pawn. And if castles, do I take? Yeah, queen c7 maybe. Queen to e3. And I'm making kind of an improving move with my queen here. But then again, he might go queen to e2, making an improving move with his queen. Then d6 takes. Castles, castles. Looks reasonable. Or just d6 right away. Takes. Yeah, takes. Queen g5. If queen c7, queen to e2, d6, then there's bishop f4 as well. So I think d6. Maybe d5 though. Force him to kind of think, is he going to take en passant or not? But then do I want this structure? I can play a5, a4. I feel like it's ideal to break this structure though. So let's go d6. Okay. So threatening to take. I assume he'll take. So that move sidesteps, can keep some pieces on the board. I can play d5 now and give him some questions for his pieces. Takes, takes, then knight d5 maybe. Takes, maybe takes. I think all looks fine here. Maybe queen c7, so I'm threatening to take still, and if takes, I take with the bishop. Yeah, I like queen c7. a4 though. I feel this move is a bit awkward, so I'm gonna redo this threat, and after takes, I'm putting some pressure on the h2 pawn. If he castles, I'll take. Okay, he takes. Let's think. He castles. I think I'm gonna castle as well here. And I want to play e5 and activate this bishop. If queen g5, yeah, queen g5, maybe just e5 anyways. I also have knight d5. Okay, he goes for this. So he wants to play knight e4. This does allow bishop to f4 here. And after queen e4, the knight can't use e4, and I can go e5. It's a bit tricky, and okay, I think quite an unusual position already. The queen's a bit misplaced, and e5 looks like a very natural way to play. And if, yeah, knight c4. Okay, let's think. So bishop f4, queen to e4. I go here, he goes g3. I go bishop here, he goes knight c4. I can play f5 there, I guess. I also have knight a5, trying to go after the bishop. Maybe my bishop belongs on this diagonal. I keep this blocked. Um, yeah. Knight e5 also makes a lot of sense. Hitting the queen, if takes, I take away some squares. I have an isolated pawn. But after queen here, I have bishop e6. That also looks really reasonable. And if queen g5, bishop f4, yeah, it's a bit risky though as well. Takes here. Okay, I want to play it though. So he goes for this. And I'm trying to dominate his knight a bit. I have the two bishops. Queen g5, I'm going here. He goes queen here. Maybe just bishop f5 there. Queen d3. I have rook d8, knight to g5, g6, g3. Hmm. So I expect queen d3 and after rook d8, maybe just h6, stopping any knight g5 idea. If knight b3, bishop g4, and what to do with this rook. Looks like I'm probably slightly worse, but I do have the two bishops. Alright, so he's going for some knight d4 idea. I think bishop g4 is good, creating some potential problems for him. And then rook to e8 to follow up. Yeah, I could go h6 though, but I think I should get some development here. Okay, so h3, very useful move. Probably rook to e8 first, winning a tempo. If queen d3, I can take knight to e5. Queen comes back, or where's the queen go? And then knight, maybe knight c4, limiting his mobility a bit. But he'll just go knight e4 anyways. Yeah, so queen d3. Maybe just bishop e6. But bishop e6, there's knight to g5. Yeah, I'm misplaying this position. And bishop h5, he goes here as well, could be a problem. So bishop to e6, knight to d4. I don't know if it's that big of a problem. It probably is. Bishop e6, knight to g5. Don't like it. h6 takes. And knight d4. Getting some sort of imbalance, but I don't know. Probably the best move is to take. And after queen takes, knight to e5. And if queen to e3. Oh, he takes. Wait. Take, knight to e5. He can just take on d5, rook to d8. It's not looking good in either case. I can also takes and go rook to e4. And if rook d1, I don't like it at all. I'd rather have the bishop still on the board. Take. Maybe I go back, and if queen takes, just bishop here. Just going down a pawn, though. So I go back, he takes, bishop here. Bishop e3, I go here, and I take. Or bishop e6, knight e4. Probably just hold on to material here, but looking very, very awkward. Knight g5, like, um, getting kind of to some big trouble after this. All right, this is your chance. This is your chance, Iman. So I could have gone h6 here, which was probably a much better move. And then here as well, maybe it was useful for him to kick his queen away. So he goes knight e4, which I don't think is best. Let's avoid the trade. This move really helped me. Knight g5 was a big problem, because now I'm getting some tempos. I can also keep the bishop with bishop d7. He can take, I take, fine. Takes. I could take as well. And if takes, that's also an interesting position. Is rook d1 though. Yeah, and I can keep the bishop on the board and ask him what is he doing. He can go back with his knight. Yeah, he could go back with his knight. Or do I continue developing here? I think knight c4 can give him some issues, because I can take, knight e4. It's a big question. Bishop d7 or knight c4 here. Knight to c4, he takes. I take. Knight to d4. Maybe in that position. I just go like rook to d8 and ask him what to do. I can also keep the bishop, but I think it's actually quite reasonable to change the structure and just give him some problems in developing this bishop. And I have this plan of a5, a4. If he takes, he has no knight b5. Alright, so he wants to take and take. I don't think that's a problem, though. If here, have a check, king moves. There's no tactics. I can preserve the bishop now and trade rooks, and if bishop g5, h6, and um, yeah, I don't think this was the best for him. So now his knight's kind of not making itself useful, and I have a5, a4, knight d2, I have knight e5, knight d3, and knight f3, I guess, there. And I can go back to c4. Takes. I don't like that trade as well. Now I control this open file, and if I get my queen to this square, it could be very dangerous. Like bishop h2 is actually maybe a huge threat if the king starts running this way. And maybe even have like a sack at some point on h3. Maybe. So he wants to trade and improve his pieces a bit. I have a check, but I don't think it's so useful here. Knight to e5, knight to f3, maybe knight g6. And ask him what is he doing. But I want to keep the pressure on this guy as well. Wait a second, I can take and take like this, which could be kind of annoying for him. Then his bishop develops somewhere like g5. His knight's quite installed there, but maybe this is the way to go. a5, a4. a5 takes, queen b3. I have rook check. Maybe after this, I can play, yeah, it's definitely a big improvement for him, for sure. Okay, so a5, I don't know. Bishop f4. You can insert this check, ask him where he's going to go. But I think knight e5, knight f3. I take. Knight takes. Just looks fine for him. Can always take with a pawn as well. So maybe I should start preparing to take with a pawn. And what exactly is this bishop doing? His knight's quite strong in the center of the board. Maybe my plan is knight e5, knight f3, knight c6. And if he takes, I take with the pawn, getting some imbalance. After knight f3, I could also take, and queen c4. And if like bishop g5, maybe queen to e2. But he takes on d5. So maybe knight g6 is the way to go. But I really don't know what I'm playing for. Maybe that's my only plan here. Yeah, and then where's my knight going from this position? There's bishop e3. Okay, so critical moment, I think. Knight c6, if he takes, I'm kind of getting change of structure. But even then, like, how good is this for me? It just goes, um, bishop e3 even. Maybe I go back, knight c4. If b3, he might create some weakness of his own. So he goes for this, and I think I'm going to a5 takes maybe. Then he just wants to go bishop e3. Knight a5 here, knight c6, again bishop e3. Knight e5, knight f3, and knight g6, keeping some pieces. Bishop e3, I go a5 maybe. Okay. Let's go here. And knight g6. So I need him to create some weakness for me to attack. Like, yeah, he plays this. Let's play maybe b5 first is the way to go. Or do I play h6 first? Maybe h6 first, actually. Yeah, let's pick up the speed a bit. Maybe bishop here is also an idea. So if takes, I have some pressure. Queen a5 if the rook moves, a3 maybe. Queen c4 is definitely an idea. So I think I'm slightly worse here. But he doesn't have any threats. Just like, what is my plan exactly? Okay, so queen c2 is like Very solid, but it does permit me to play b5 and some b4 as well. Yeah, I can start with b5. Does he want to go knight f5? I just go back. Knight f5, I can go back, but then he goes forwards. It's just looking good for him at this point, I think. And he might be sacked, by the way. Takes. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, so queen there. Let's offer a queen trade. See if he improves my structure. So if he takes, I'll probably take this way. But it does make sense to take the other way as well, keeping the b pawn as a weakness, like rook to b8. Yeah, so the problem is if I take this way, he goes like rook d1. And I don't have enough pressure on this pawn here. But I don't know how I'm going to add more pressure as well. Taking is probably just super solid here. And maybe I can reroute the bishop to d3. If a4, I just take. Okay, I improved my structure with this, so now I think I'm doing a lot better than previously. I have f5, f4, which could be a bit annoying for him. He's putting some pressure on this file. And his threat is knight takes b5. So he has a real threat in the position. Maybe I tuck the bishop away for now. And then if he moves the knight, I can reroute. No threats. Let's tuck the pieces away. And I'm going to wait quite a bit for this advance. But now I can play knight e7, knight d5. Knight e7 does allow knight to e5 though. If here I have this, maybe knight c2 is an interesting move here. But after bishop c6, knight b4, I take, knight to e5, knight to d3. Yeah, if I get the knight to d3, I think it's like very, very strong for me. Knight to b4, I don't think is a problem. Maybe he wants to go this way. But then again, I can get my bishop to d3 there. Yeah. So he's taking more time to think on this move, which is like telling me he's not exactly sure what to do, and I think this is already going in the wrong direction. I can just play rook c8 and take, and there's a weakness. And what if I take first? Take, rook to c8. He goes rook to a1. I take, he takes, and I take, yeah? So take, and rook here. And if rook a1, I take, he takes, I take. Rook a7. Rook a7 there. Rook a7, maybe bishop. Yeah, maybe bishop e8, rook a8 here. Not sure. This is probably a much safer move. Takes. And if b4, okay, now I'm threatening to take for sure. So I think he has to take. I'll take with the rook. Okay, that's definitely a mistake. Let's take. And now, if he goes here, I have bishop c8 holding the a pawn. So I'm up a pawn. Is there any trick? Like, I don't see it. Bishop d2. I can just go back. Yeah, but what does this even do? Everything is covered. You can even go here and put some pressure on the knights, which actually looks quite interesting. And if rook here, then what to do? Maybe bishop d6 there. Yeah, and if here, I'm putting really kind of pressure on him, but he has this move, and then my rook is almost trapped. So rook d3, king f1. Bishop c5. King e2, I can take. Yeah, maybe I just go back for now. And if rook a8, I don't like it though. It's not the best for sure. This is much more active. Here. Okay, he has knight c2. Um, Rook c1 could be a problem though. Rook c1. And I can't go bishop c5. Rook c1 could be a problem. Okay, let's go back. This pawn's quite weak, for sure. But it's also a very important pawn for me now. Okay, so he wants to trade, but I don't think this is actually good for him. For some reason. Let's see, it's take. And if I go bishop c5, he goes rook d5. I don't want opposite colored bishop endgame. I have rook to e8 though here. Then again, rook d5. Okay, bishop c5 has to be the choice. Yeah, he goes there with the knight, but I don't like this move for him. I could take, and I can also go here. And does he have a sacrifice? He doesn't. So bishop e6, b4, I go back. Yeah, bishop e6. Just keeping things under control here looks good. Now I can go back again as well. So I'm gonna take. I don't know. Yeah, he goes there. Let's go back. I could take, and rook here now. That looks like the simplest, actually. Takes, rook here. I'm winning another pawn. If rook e5. Well, he has to take. Yeah, it's just winning. So take. If he allows it, gets rook c4 and rook f4. I take, and take. Knight to e3, maybe. Knight to e3, rook here, bishop here, and rook d3. Bishop goes back, and I take. Yeah, maybe I could have taken here. No, okay, he made a move. So he goes for this, which definitely loses. So do I take, and take? Or just keep the bishop on the board? I don't see any reason not to simply take. And if knight e4, I have bishop c3 as well. But wait a second, why can't I just take, and take? And then just bring the bishop back and push the pawn up the board. Is that the best way to do it? or is the best way to keep the bishop? Okay, maybe I just win a pawn. I don't see. Knight d4 he wants. I can still go like bishop here or even check. Not quite yet. He has to be a little bit careful because I have some check king h2 and bishop d6. Oh, I have to be very careful about this move because of knight to e7. So if knight d4, maybe just bishop bishop c4. Yeah, okay, bishop c4 looks fine. Oh, wait a second, there's no knight to e7 because the knight's not there anymore. But this is fine as well. Yeah, now he lashes out, and I can start pushing this pawn up the board. Let's start with bishop here. If he goes here, his rook is trapped. If he goes here, then I have this. Then he has rook d5. Wait, rook f5 is his move. I guess just b4 next, but a5, yeah, his knight takes. Hmm. b4 rook goes here. Yeah, so it's very close to getting trapped, not quite. g6 maybe. And if rook to f6, not clear. So I can go here, but then I'll allow this move. Pawn push, he has rook here. If bishop c7, his rook is getting back to defense. So maybe I trade off the rooks here. Or just bishop c5 as well. Okay, so I shouldn't spend too much time in this position, should I? Yeah, rook c5. There's no tricks, I don't think. Knight takes b5, I take. Okay. Getting low on time here. bit, but I think everything's under control. Yeah, but this could be a problem for him. I have this, and if knight f5, I take. Yeah, he's avoiding the trade. If I go there, I don't think he has any tricks. Rook f5, I have this. It forces a trade. Really simplify the game. Takes. Takes. I think I can keep the bishop on the board here as well. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so the game. And yeah, the opening did not go as planned here at all. Apparently black is slightly better. Knight d5 was the best move, like getting this isolated pawn to get the activity. Bishop f5. This move I don't understand at all. Oh yeah, this move makes sense because queen here, then rook here. But what if queen g5? Oh, then I take on f3, okay. And bishop d7. Yeah, I guess wasn't in trouble really. And okay, I should have taken immediately. I went rook c8, allowed b4, but I thought still I was going to be much better there. Okay, let's rematch. Let's send him a challenge. It's 25 minutes. What was the time for 25 plus 10? And this time I'm white. Let me just check that. It's 25 plus 10, right? Yeah, 25 plus 10. Alright, this time I'm white, 25, 10. Alright, good luck. Here we go again. Luck, have fun as well. Alright. Let's play d4. d5. Let's go c4. e6. Let's go knight c3. 6. Let's take. And bishop g5. He's playing quickly. I'm glad he knows some moves here. Bishop e7. Queen c2. He goes for c5, which I don't like at all based in this position because I can take d4. I have rook d1, and if he takes on c5, maybe is his plan. Then I can take. I don't like this decision. Like, I'm not sure. Maybe it's fine, but from a practical point of view, if his bishop takes, I have this. Takes, maybe it's his idea. So I could take, give him an isolated pawn here. I don't have to, but knight f3 is really solid as well. Takes. He has an isolated pawn anyways, and I'm developed. And his bishop is a bit more active in this version of the isolated pawn. But I do allow c4 here. Then maybe I could target the pawn with g3, knight e5, bishop g2. So I think knight f3. And if knight c6, then I take, bishop takes. My knight defends the bishop. He has bishop g4 though. He has bishop g4 here. So already giving me some questions. I think takes, knight f3, bishop g4, then I have knight to e5. But wait a second. Knight f3, bishop g4, knight e5. He takes. I have knight b5. No, I don't. I'm kind of underdeveloped as well. Okay, knight f3 is a normal move here. Taking is a bit ambitious. So knight f3, bishop g4, then I take, he takes, I take, he takes. Rook d1. How is he defending the pawn? He gives a check, I take, check, and I take him up a piece. So knight f3, takes, knight c6 maybe is his plan. I like the idea of winning a tempo though. After taking, bishop takes, then e3, d4. Takes, e3, d4, rook d1. Knight c6, knight f3. Takes, e3. Knight c6, rook d1. Take, d4, rook d1. Queen a5. And I'm up a pawn. But he might just ignore it and go knight c6. But then I go knight f3, d4, rook here anyways. Bishop g4. Okay. If I take, my structure is probably going to need e3 at some point. And knight f3. So knight f3, takes, knight c6. I can change the pawn structure. Takes, then e3, and I'm threatening to take. Take, e3. Okay. Let's take. Yeah. Okay. So he takes. Now my plan was to play e3. If d4, I go rook d1. Yeah, but doesn't this allow takes, knight d5? Wait a second. Takes. Knight to d5. Bishop b4 check, I guess, is the point. And if takes, knight takes. I have bishop b5 here first. I also have rook d1. And I guess bishop e6 is his plan. Okay, knight f3 is normal. Bishop g4. Then I take knight d5. Bishop gives check. I take. Let's see. Takes. Excuse me. Takes. Bishop gives check. I take. He takes. I give check. Attacking the knight and the king. I think this is a mistake, maybe. Takes, knight b4. Maybe knight b4 is his move, but then I give another check. Bishop d7, I take. Queen d2, maybe. But what if he just wants to take with a pawn? Then knight f3, I guess. Takes. Okay. Let's see. Take. Let's see what he goes for. Alright, so he goes for this. And I guess we'll go knight f3. Or bishop b5. Bishop e5, d4. I have rook d1 always. And if rook here, I can take, maybe. So bishop g4. Looks good. And if a6, I have queen. a6, I have queen here, bishop here. And I guess I'm forced to take. Okay, queen there looks interesting. I have rook d1 now. Most natural move. Bishop e6. So maybe bishop d3, knight b4, I go back. I want to play knight here and just win the bishop. D has queen here. It's an interesting position for sure. Maybe knight e2 is more accurate than knight f3. So I can play knight g3, knight f5 at some point. Which way is he going to castle? If he castles this way, then what to do? Oh, wait a second. I'm threatening this if he castles. But he always has a check saving him. And if knight c3... Yeah, so this is actually quite a big threat. And if check, the knight c3 he takes. I take with the queen attacking this. So this is a big threat. If check, knight c3... I guess just queen e7 there, maybe. The knight g3. It's interesting, for sure. It's interesting. Switch knights around. If I wasn't in a pin there, I think it's just winning. Okay, he castles. And I guess we'll castle rook g8 and knight e4. Looks good. Does he want to go knight b4 though? Maybe, but then queen a4 at least, or queen c1. Yeah, queen c1 keeping pressure on the c file. It's castle. And my threat is knight to e4. There's no check anymore. Knight to e4 is a huge threat. He spots it, but I think I could still go for it. And I also have a lot of firepower on this line now. So I'm thinking knight here. Take, take. Yeah, this just looks very strong. Knight a4, queen before I take. And I'm threatening knight d4. I'm threatening take, take, and knight d4 maybe. Rook g8, I don't think it's a problem. Okay, let's go knight a4. Ah, this is his plan. This is his plan. Okay, knight f4. Stop the mate. And maybe knight c5 next. Or rook c1. Knight b4 though. That was a good move. Very interesting idea. Knight b4. I go here. He goes here. I guess it could be a problem. But knight b4. Queen here. Takes, takes, takes. I have rook here winning this pawn. Wait a second. Knight b4, queen c5, takes, takes. He can throw in this move. Then I take this way. Win a tempo against the rook. Yeah, what is he gonna play here? He's really trying to think about how to checkmate me, but I don't think there's like d4. First I don't have to do it. I don't have to take. And the pawn guards and I'm also pinning. But maybe rook c1 is the move here. Just adding pressure to this. And then knight b4 again, though. Okay, let's see what he's got. As many options. If knight b4, probably queen c5. Yeah, rook starts with that move. I don't think there's any sacrifice yet. Take. No, there's no sacrifice. So maybe it's time to take anyways. And after take, rook there. Bishop comes back. I go there. Take. What if he takes with the queen? Then I can take. Knight to c5. Rook here. This does allow this pawn to be captured, but I'm definitely not going to take that. Takes. Here, king here, there's a check. And if bishop d7, I have this move as well. So I think we'll take. And if queen takes, I'll take. Knight c5 also looks appealing. Or rook c1 first. Is there a sacrifice though? Rook takes, take. I don't think there is, so. Let's trade. Oh, maybe he wants bishop h3. I don't think it works though, but it's really might be. Oh, but then I could just take as well. And the rook protects. Also, I can take here, but then rook takes. Yeah, it is interesting though. Bishop h3, I take on d5. Fortunate I have that. But what if he takes with a pawn? And if rook c1, then bishop h3. And if I take, rook takes, king moves. Might even take with a bishop as well. Takes here. Yeah, so maybe g3 has to be played here first. Because rook c1, bishop h3, I take. He has to take with a rook. So if he takes with a bishop, I trade queens first. And if rook takes, so let's see, rook c1, bishop h3, queen takes. Rook takes, I move. He takes, I takes, and his rook and bishop are hanging there. So maybe this is fine. But I think it's a bit dangerous. Rook c1, I've got to really focus and calculate this properly. Rook c1, bishop h3, I take. If he trades queens, he's in a pin. But then king here. And then I can take and take here, which is fine. And if rook c1, bishop h3, I take. Rook takes, king moves. And his bishop hits me a bit, but I'm trading queens. If I get the queen trade, I think I'm better. And if king b7, I go knight c5 and then take. Yeah, what if d4? I take. Okay. Rook c1. No fear of bishop h3. Maybe it's losing. I don't know. Takes. Rook takes. I go there. He has some takes, and takes, though, which I missed. I'm banking on this timing. Bishop h3. He goes back. Yeah, this is not... This is definitely not... definitely not the best. So do I go g3 first and just stop him? Or do I play like knight c5 immediately? And if I take, I guess he'll take with the king. And I always have this on top as well. Okay, so obvious move is here. And then does he want bishop h3? I don't know, like, maybe that's his idea. So I guess g3 first. Where do I trade queens? Queen c5 hits the pawn, and if takes, I take with the knight. Then his bishop can take this knight. Okay, takes as well as possible. Queen has to take if pawn... yeah, maybe this is fine for him too. So knight c5. Then bishop h3. But then queen b3. And if rook takes, I move. And bishop e6 is playable there. I also have rook d1. Threatening take. Oh no, I can't move the knight yet. Okay, let's honestly just block all of the attack first with g3. And do I dare to take the pawn and take this pawn? I'm not sure. I mean, his king is still weak, so maybe the move is just rook d1, and then knight d5 takes and takes. Yeah, rook d1 looks pretty solid. h5, rook d1, h4, knight takes. He takes. Actually, that's interesting. So h5, rook d1, h4, I take. He takes. I take. King takes. So he overprotects the d5 pawn, which is quite clever actually. This does allow me to take though. And now it makes a lot of sense to do it. Don't think he has any threats on the h file, but he could go back and create some play. Knight c5 first is the most appropriate. I guess he wants bishop f5 there. Then queen a4 maybe. Okay, knight c5. Yeah, I don't want to get my queen trapped like here, takes, and rook f8. Okay, so now I guess I'll take, and if king takes, rook d1. Or do I threaten this first? I don't think there's a big threat takes, I just take. Yeah, this looks actually very strong first. And I'm threatening check, king d8, and knight b7. If bishop e6, this bishop's on the wrong diagonal there. Let's go queen a4. Yeah, maybe I just give check anyways. Looks strong in here. Here, take, take, and take. This could be a really pivotal moment for him. If he goes a5, he's creating some weakness. But maybe he has to. But then yeah, probably b4 is just pretty slow. Maybe though. Okay. So if I take, king takes, yeah. What about queen b3? Wait a second. What about queen b3? How does he stop this? Maybe this is the strongest. So yeah, I'm just trying to check take. Maybe just invade and then see. He goes queen there, which doesn't look good at all for him. So here, 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 here. Yeah, just really doesn't look good. Let's give it a check. And okay, I can take, and take with check. What else? Knight e3 maybe, but okay, it just makes sense. Take. Take. And rook takes or queen takes? Probably just queen takes. Just winning a tempo. And I think even if king moves, I still have knight takes. And if rook takes, that's his one chance, eh? Rook takes, 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 takes. But I can always just move to the corner. But then he might even go there, so not take any risks here and keep this knight. Or I can give a check first. So rook d1. If rook takes, I just take. Rook d1 threatens. Wait, rook d1, does he really want to take? I take, he takes again. I take, he takes again. But I just go king g2. Queen goes here. I have king h2. So rook d1, rook takes, sack. I take, he takes. King g2. Queen gives check. And king to h2. Yeah, I think that's... I'm really curious after the game. We'll check that. The opening. If I should take on c5 or not. But this, I don't know what he's planning. I think if the sack doesn't work, then nothing really works. And even if he takes, I can still go king f1 there. Just even ignore the second rook sacrifice too. Yeah, which even like looks even better. So he has to trade queens here. Keep the rook guarding. Okay, this is interesting. I can take with a knight, but I don't think that makes sense. If I take with a rook, deflecting everything. If rook takes g3, take. Does he want rook takes g3 there? Takes. But even king f1 there. Okay. Alright, good game. Yeah, let's check that out on the analysis. Bishop d5, bishop e7, queen c2, c5. Takes, and e4 is the way to go. But if e4, if he take, queen takes, never mind. So e3, I thought of knight f3, he has this takes. Yeah, but the knight defends, so that's the point anyways. Okay. Bishop takes. If queen takes, I take. Bishop here, I just take. Queen a4. Yeah. Alright, guys, we're going to, oh, I could castle along just this way, but okay. G6. So knight c3 was best there. And he had bishop h3. Some wild ideas. And if I take, it's actually just only slightly better for him. The rook takes h2 is the point I missed. Alright, good game. So we will sign off here, and